Erik Ten Hag and his tricky Reds were expecting a title challenge this season, but already the wheels look like they're falling off. But fortunately for him, or unfortunately for him, he'll be short one key player in the race for the title. We're back from that episode of One Kick from Glory. I'm joined by Matthew and Craig, and we've got a special guest with us here, Stephen. He's a Man United fan, and we're going to be talking all things Man United and what's going on at Old Trafford with him. I guess just to start off with, Stephen, just let us know your history with Manchester United. So when you became a fan and what was like your first memory that kind of sticks out to you?
So first became a fan as soon as I came out of my mummy's stomach. I was screaming Man United from birth. I've been supporting them for such a long time. A very, very point that really sticks out to me is that Champions League final. When Odegaard and Solskjaer obviously scored that lovely header, amazing, and then obviously just since then I've just been a massive fan. I've been to the stadium quite a few times. I've taken like some of my family there as well. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that definitely that final 99 is a memory that lives long for a lot of us for many reasons. And of course, unfortunately, last season, your historic treble was eclipsed by your noisy neighbours. And I know for like a lot of fans out there, just getting them back in their place is going to be really important. I guess for you as well, looking at how things have shifted in Manchester over the last couple of years from the dominance of Manchester United and obviously this rise of Man City, like how do you look at that as a fan and what's your kind of hopes for Man United going forward?
Well, listen, as soon as City done it, you know what? I was congratulating them because they play some really, really good football. I'm a fan of United, but I'm a fan of football as well.
Mm.
So in terms of how they played last season and how they've been playing, they have changed the game. I mean, in terms of Pep came into English League football. He's changed the game of football. Everyone's playing like Pep. Obviously, from my side as a Man United fan, it is disappointing, but we got a long way to get there. We're nowhere near that level. Even in the future, I don't see us competing for titles. I'm an honest fan. I have to be honest with you guys. I don't see us competing for some years until we get the players right and our style of play, how we want to play. As Ronaldo said, the future nobody knows, but you have to be realistic. And the way Man United is playing now, compared to the way, let's say, Liverpool, City are playing, Arsenal even, who just suddenly come out of nowhere with Arteta, we've got a long way to go.
It's definitely going to be a journey to get you guys back to the top. You have the right manager. You have the financial backing of your owners, and I use that term very loosely, and I'm glad you referred to signings as well. And we're going to cover them a bit more a little bit later, but just like one kind of final point for you. I've been quite taken aback by how Man United have progressed since Ronaldo's departure. I think in some ways you've gotten better. In other ways, you've definitely regressed as a team. For you with the Ronaldo saga, how do you feel about his departure in particular and how it was handled? And do you think the club maybe made a mistake in letting him go in the way they did?
Yeah, 100%, because you can't disrespect the best of the best. In terms of what he's done for United, he also has done that. He's won the FIFA Player of the Year in Man United. He also has done that. What he's brought to the club, the fan base, the following, everything, the crowd, everything, every turning up to Old Trafford, he has done that. And I think how they treated him, definitely not good in my eyes. But not trying to move on from Ronaldo, but United have a tendency to do that with, players. For example, Lingard, our goalkeeper last season, De Gea, someone who's been there more than 10 years. So in terms of, how they handled that situation, and particularly in terms of Cristiano Ronaldo, major disrespect. Because, for example, PSG or Barcelona would never do that to Messi. Never. Not in a million years.
Well, I mean, PSG did do it to Messi, but you're right about Barcelona. Definitely the level of respect for your legends, and Real Madrid, of course, they know how to send their players off. There's a right way of doing things, and I think with that saga, It definitely wasn't the best. But yeah, we're going to touch some more on Man United because we're going to cover your game against Tottenham. Very disappointing defeat, and we're going to get onto that a bit later. But we're going to start off at Stamford Bridge. No, it was London Stadium.
London
I'm going to start from Chelsea.
Yeah.
I'm going to come over to you, Matthew. So obviously, I've been quite intrigued by Chelsea this summer. I think you made a lot of interesting signings. I don't agree with all of them. I think your owners definitely do not care about rules or regulations. All they care about is something. I don't even say winning. They just care about something. But for you, how do you feel about that game now? In light of what we saw in the first match, you were trying to little shoots coming together. How do you feel about that game against West Ham?
The loss was unnecessary. And it's you don't win all your games. Like sometimes a case of just them being better than you, or you're hitting everything you can. It's just not going in. But that, particularly in the second half, was what I call unnecessary. There's no need, no want, no how for us to lose that match. All right, fine. We go down after 7 minutes. Ward-Prouse is involved. Of course he is. He likes playing against us. But in that first half, we were bearing, like I was saying, like almost dominant. We're like 2 goals away from taking something away. We get a good goal from Carney. Unfortunately, then he goes off injured. That's another case of our bad luck. Then there's a case of the penalty that I'm convinced if that penalty goes in, I'm not saying we're going to go ahead and win, but I'm not saying we're going to go ahead and lose. But then the second half really kind of showed, I think, a lot of the players and their inexperience, in particular, like someone like, and this is always my worry about someone like Colwill and how he's going to get just properly tested, especially away from home when you're away from that comfort. And West Ham are riding in the moment on a wave of success. All right, they've sold their captain, but they've replaced well. They're in Europe again, where they feel like they belong. It's always going to be a difficult ground to go to. And it showed up in the second half. They were superior to us in just every other way possible. And then Caicedo comes on the other night. Talk about comparisons. Ward-Prouse has a debut from heaven. Caicedo has a debut from hell. I don't know why he's coming on that situation where we need a goal. We don't necessarily need to shore up. He's not knowing that he gives away a penalty. Poch got it, I think, for the whole team, manager included. It was a little bit of a very small reality check from where we were last year. All right, last week was amazing, fantastic against Liverpool, fighting for that draw. And arguably, I thought we could be very good for the win. But games like this come around where it's like, all right, we've been checked a little bit. I got it wrong. I think Enzo's penalty was ridiculously poor as well. In contrast to the other one that went the other way. It's a learning thing for a lot of them, but it's only 2 games. We've got a lot of young, inexperienced players, like the main 2, like Colwill and Diassi, the ones that did well last week didn't do so well this week. You're going to get games like that. So, yeah, but also, Poch, he got it wrong. Bringing on Mudryk was a mistake. We've been getting better to see someone else like Santos. We think it would have been better. But we got a very winnable game coming up tomorrow. So he needs to close out this month of August with at least 1 win. But look, we move forward. I was angry because it was unnecessary. But look, we move forward. But don't make this a regular habit. Let's get a bit more experience in our game.
Yeah, we're going to pick apart some of those things as well, and also talk about everyone's upcoming games this weekend. But I want to start with one thing. One of the goals in particular, I'll run this over to you, Craig. Mikel Antonio's goal. Now, catalogue of errors from that, from the Chelsea defenders. I think played a ball out from the back, gets intercepted. From then, Koval gets put in a spliff.
Experience.
Diassi gets left on his ass, effectively.
Yep.
But where is Thiago Silva? For you, Craig, like looking at that goal, first of all, how do you rate it from a striker's perspective? And then secondly, like, what do you think that says as a bigger picture for Chelsea going forward?
I play football and I play up front sometimes as well. I think the goal was a very good goal, quality goal. He hit across the keeper. But the way how he held off Colwell should have gave him too much space.
Too much respect.
Gave him too much respect. He thought, it's only Antonio, he's not going to do anything. Left him to all his own devices, put in the bottom corner.
I mean, to be fair with Antonio, he could take that same shot again 10 times and
it
probably
wouldn't go
only
in.
score once. Yeah. So it's one of those goals that when you catch it sweet.
Yeah.
But I just think for me the defending is just diabolical. Like, where was Thiago Silva? Because I've watched the clip back a few times. I don't see him.
And he's supposed to be the most experienced defender.
He's also meant to be the one in the middle. So where is he?
He should be one in the middle. Yeah. I also think that I know Reece James is injured. I'm not sure how keen I am with Enzo being captain. I'm not I'm 51% happy with that.
I don't know what the captain's got to do with that goal though.
No, but the point is, but I think is that it's a lot to put on him, and I think he just wasn't ready to take that penalty. But going back to the goal anyway, like that's the prime place where you want someone with experience to be, because like you said, 10 times out of 10, it's not going to happen all the time. But he's something that Colwell had a bit of a shocker of a game, must be said. Maybe he's all tired out from that Liverpool game. I don't know, but it's unfair to put him in a position away from home against a team that's on the rise. Where Antonio is known for scoring goals like that, he gets better with age every single time. It's not right for him to be in that kind of position. Though you want someone a bit more experienced in that where he is. So yeah, him and Diassi had a terrible time. West Ham were having so much fun.
And I also think with Sanchez as well, I think some of the goals he conceded, they definitely are concerning, because it's like, shouldn't be letting in some of those soft goals.
Penalty's a penalty, but yeah, the first two. That's part of the problem with having the first two goals. In my opinion, they were soft. Particularly, the first goal I think annoyed me more because it's a reminder of what happened for last time, and that hospital ball, that charity ball comes in again so weak, and as soon as he sends it in, you know exactly what's going to happen. He did that with Southampton, I think twice last year. So what's the difference in being the West Ham shirt going to do if anything? That's what angered me the most, is those getting rid of those two casual balls that we can't afford to be giving away all the time, which got on my nerves more than anything. I was angry after the defeat because it just felt unnecessary. West Ham, deserve it, but did we need to have that L so early on in the season? No. So we got to nip that in the bud. All right, we've got Luton next, but there's going to be harder games in between, and not long before you play you at the back end of October. So we're going to have something. We've got to have something figured out by then. So
yeah, we'll cover the upcoming fixtures in a bit. But just to throw this to you, Stephen. So obviously, I know there's been a lot of talk about Raheem Sterling from the back end of last season. His first year at Chelsea was not the best. Did not look anywhere near the player that we all know he can be. And I think these last two games in particular, he's kind of looking back to his best. I mean, there was a moment in I think it's the second half, when he took the ball on the right wing and just drove past 3 or 4 players with a burst of pace and then put across the ball, and unfortunately no one was there to put it away. But how impressed are you with his kind of start to this new season?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think just to quickly touch on last season, I think it was just a massive lack of a confidence issue with Sterling, plus a lot of the Chelsea players anyway. But in terms of how he started, these last couple of games, really, really well. I've been really impressed with him. He just needs, I wouldn't say time. I just see as it's the whole Chelsea team. There is no cohesion at the moment. That's just that's my own personal opinion. I think once they really gel together, he will be shining, because he has done it for City, for England. So I've got full confidence that he can do it for Chelsea as well.
I guess on that point about cohesion, do you think there comes a point where Chelsea need to stop bringing in new players? Because obviously they're doing more the American football type approach of bringing lots of talented youngsters and kind of weeding through the best of them, and the rest will just get sold off down the line. But do you think it gets to a point where even for Pochettino, he must be sitting there thinking, I've got all these players that we've paid all this money for on big wages. I need to find my right fit. And I'm inundated with options, but those options aren't all ready.
Yeah, 100% they need to stop. I think it's crazy, what Chelsea are doing. They're buying non-stop. For example, last season, they didn't even know their best 11. They didn't even know their formation. I'm just hoping that Poch can really settle in really quickly with the team and really know who he wants to be as his number, starters. And then obviously sell the people that he knows that he ain't going to use, because there's no point having a size of 30 people. So yeah, it's just I think for me, Chelsea, in terms of their strategy, what they're doing is just, it's unbelievable at the moment. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the only saving grace now is that Qatar can take Lukaku, and that might save you for FFP reasons, but because he's effectively frozen out. Poch has no intention of bringing him back in.
Ziyech is finally gone.
Ziyech is gone.
He's the last one.
But it's just Lukaku left. But yeah, I was quite impressed with Nicholas Jackson. I think he's had a good couple of games. Still a bit raw. Very much not the polished final product as you'd expect, but definitely a striker that excites the way he plays the game.
Just needs a goal.
Just needs a goal.
Just needs a goal.
How did you rate his performance against West Ham?
I mean, he's getting in all the right places, but it's just like his finishing sometimes is a bit of a concern. I think there was one, if not last week on the game, was just happened in West Ham in Liverpool, or it might have been Liverpool, where he sends it clean over, where on any other day, maybe that's that one, the next chance he gets, that's going in. Like, he's doing all kind of the right things. Position-wise, he's there. Hunger-wise, he's there. He's big, he's strong. He's not afraid to take on a back four, potentially even by himself, which I don't want to put too much pressure on him. I just think he just needs a goal. But his hunger and his thing is in the right place at the moment. It's just, he needs, like that one where Sterling sends it in, that's where he needs to be. That's where you get those goals. Because unfortunately saying, if he's not getting there, Nkunku is.
Yeah, and he's not going to be back for a while.
And he's not going to be back for ages. And we don't know what we're getting back in return after that injury. We don't know. He might not be fully fit. Even if he comes back, say, in the new year, start a new year, he might not be fully firing until about February, March time. So in that time, Jackson's got plenty of time to kind of bag some goals, 10 goals. He gets that one, he'll click. I've no problem in mind he's going to get that click and just go on.
For me, Craig, he reminds me of an Arsenal striker from recent history, a player that took a while to get into it, and by the end of his time at the club, became an accomplished Premier League striker, in Emmanuel Adebayor. I see a lot of similarities. How would you, like, with that in mind, would you agree with that position, and how would you kind of assess Nicholas Jackson so far?
I think he's got good potential to be a very good player for Chelsea. I think him and Nkunku and pre-season were working well together. You can see the link-up play was good together. I think he can get that same relationship with someone like a Sterling or someone like maybe Mudryk. If Mudryk gets more minutes, he can build up a good relationship with the players. I thought
Chukwuemeka,
he played very well the other day. Then he got injured. Scored a quality goal. Got the ball, shriveled, and then did that, and then he got injured. I think Jackson does remind me a little bit of Adebayor when he first came to Arsenal. He was very raw, but then once he got his feet, he started scoring a lot of goals, and then I think he's got a good potential. I feel the manager has to keep faith in him because he's a young player, and just keep on playing him. When he gets, as Matthew said, once he gets the first goal, the goals will just flow.
To be fair, if his development follows Adebayor, you have a really good Premier League striker, providing the ego doesn't make him leave.
Yeah, please don't. But, paying him a lot of money, so he shouldn't.
Yeah, I guess one thing on that match particularly, you talked about him a bit earlier, Matthew, and that's James Ward-Prowse, a player that I want to highlight this week. He's come in from Southampton, a player that West Ham had been trying to get throughout most of the summer. They got it over the line. 2 assists on his debut. You know what kind of a player he is and how much he's going to add to their team. With David Moyes, he's slowly getting the pieces together to build up this super team West Ham level. Mohamed Kudus is also linked. They've signed Mavropanos as well this week. So they're really picking up some good pieces. There's rumours linking them to El Nesri, the Sevilla striker. You think him, Ward-Prowse, they might really be good. But looking at Ward-Prowse himself, like, how exciting do you think it is for West Ham with the type of player he is and what he can do for them going forward?
He's going to do some damage, right? If he can just track that form that he had with all those dead balls and this kind of pivoting, that leadership ability, especially with more demands and more games they have in Europe and all the cups in the Premier League, there's no way that you're going to see West Ham in a relegation fight. Dare I see, you know what? They could even add, they've got the potential to add to that top 4 European thing, along with Newcastle, Villa, Brighton. They have the capability of being up there with them. So all of a sudden, the top 10 of the table, and if they're going to add a 5th place to the Champions League, that top 10 now, or top 8 even, has become a lot more desirable. And let's not forget about what they could potentially do in the cups. We're not going on the trajectory, say, like a Newcastle, but what they are doing is they're assembling a team that, that David Moyes certainly wants. He's a very good manager, David Moyes, and I think a lot of people do sleep on that. He's finally got what is the trophy he wanted to deserve for after all these years, and he's going to now show that he can now go and do this and do it even further. But they've got the stones to be part of that top 8. I'm not saying they'll be in the top 4. I don't think they will, but they've definitely got the stones to be in that top 5 even. And who says what they're going to do in the Europa League? Who knows?
That's the thing. They could do back-to-back in Europe.
And Ward-Prouse is an international player. I think sometimes he's quite underrated. I don't think a lot of people talk about him enough. Like, it's purely down to his kind of dead ball ability, just next level. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So they've got as proven, we found out they have a problem on their hand. Whoever they play next, yeah, if they start clicking, big problem on their hand. Big problem.
Well, we'll see how it pushes on from there. I mean, just one final thing on James Ward-Prowse for you, Stephen. I think one of the things I'm finding quite interesting in football is how much squads and managers are relying on specialist players. So you think about players that are elite at doing certain things. You think about Mo Salah, and he's just an elite goal scorer in the way he cuts in from the wing. You got Haaland, who's a machine, as we know. You got Kevin De Bruyne, who's just a delivery merchant. A very boring footballer to watch. I don't like watching De Bruyne, but he's very, very good. It just doesn't excite me. But how important do you think it is for West Ham adding a player like James Ward-Prowse, especially with what they like to do on the pitch, and how that could elevate their game, especially now looking at Europe and obviously building from their narrow escape from relegation last season, looking up the table now?
Yeah, massive. 100%. He's going to be a massive player for them coming from Southampton. He knows the Premier League. You know, as it was just mentioned, England international. He's a specialist, at the dead ball situations, and the way how West Ham play, absolutely fantastic signing for him. Plus, obviously, as you know, as they lost their captain to go to the Gunners, big loss for them, but they've gained a massive player, and I'm sure he will help them massively this season.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does. And I think he might be able to cement a place in the England squad because, if Calvin Phillips, for all his, he gets picked on, he's a good player, but he doesn't play much. I think James Ward-Prowse might look at that and say that there's a spot there for me in the England squad if I can kick on really, really big because, we know Declan Rice and Bellingham are guaranteed now.
Yeah.
Jollof Rice, as we're now calling him at the carpet. Let's move on to Arsenal. We made it a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Crystal Palace. Very difficult place to go. We know Man United struggled there last season with Elise's wonder goal. I had to throw that one in. But no, I mean, I'm quite intrigued with what Arteta's doing this season. I think a lot of fans online, there's a lot of confusion in the Arsenal fan base. I think Arteta has learnt a lot over the summer. And I think what he's doing, for me anyway, what he's doing quite smart this season is he's sort of adding layers to the team and how we play to prepare us for the run-in. Because our issue last season wasn't the start. We were flying into the season. We got to March and we started to run out of legs. Not so much ideas, but I think legs to get through those key games. I mean, that 3-game run from Liverpool, West Ham, Southampton, unforgivable. And then the Man City game, like those 4 games in particular, that's the season done. So we're trying to add more to us to kind of equip us for that kind of period of time. But looking at this game in particular, only 1-0, could have been a lot more. How do you feel looking back on the game now? Haven't had a few days to think back on that result.
I think players are still getting used to the new style of football, how we're playing. I think once Declan Rice settles in properly, I know he's still learning how the Arsenal play and all that. Once he gets settled in properly, same with Kai Havertz as well. Once they all get settled properly, I think we'll start flowing. Goals will start flowing. We'll get 4 or 5 goals start going in properly. I think at the moment he's experimenting with Partey as a right back / inverted centre mid. And I think obviously Timber got injured the week before, so that means that Tomiyasu has to start. He didn't. He started well. He played very well. Then he got sent off. Very unluckily, harshly got sent off. The second one was a yellow card. He did pull his shirt. The first one was a stupid, silly referee man giving a silly yellow card when when you look at it back now, he could have warned him instead of giving him a yellow card straight away. And I thought that well, he played well, and Kesha could have had a hat trick. He was free. He had 3 good chances he created. One hit the post, one he hit over the bar. The other one he just went a bit wide. So he's getting the chances, just need to put them away. So yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about the Tomiyasu red card. Now, my thing with this season, I don't mind the new rules. I don't mind the fact that they only had allowed the manager or the assistant in the technical area at once, not both of them. I don't mind that. I don't mind this new time wasting thing from the World Cup. I think that's a good idea.
Very good.
I've got concerns about the amount of time added on, because I think players' welfare needs to be balanced out. Like, we shouldn't be having 10 minutes added on time, 7 minutes. I think cap it at 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Past that, like, it's excessive. My issue is lack of consistency. So Jordan Ayew gets a yellow card for a stupid foul in the first half. Before Tomiyasu gets his second yellow card, Jordan Ayew pulls down Bukayo Saka, pulls him down on his back, chucks him to the floor. No booking, no talking to, no warning. Tomiyasu, the softest of pulls on Jordan Ayew, and Jordan Ayew flopped down like a fish fresh out of the water. Second yellow card, sent off. Now, both players should be sent off. If we're going by the law, how they've changed the rules for this season, they both should be sent off. And if you're not going to send off Jordan Ayew for a stronger pull, because Saka was pulling to go away and he dragged him down to the floor. Yeah. Tomiyasu's one was soft, but it's contact on both. If you're going to send off one, send off the other. If you're not going to send off one, don't send off the other. And that's my issue with everything with the officiating in the league this season, and just in general the last few years. There's no consistency. Like, you'll see games when VAR does intervene, then they don't intervene, then they do intervene. It doesn't make any sense for me. So I think that's something that they definitely need to address, because, like, now we're missing a player for a game when we could need him. On the plus side, Zinchenko's back. So is Jesus, who's in full training today. So that's a good news, and might mean less sights of Nketiah. I want to throw this question to you, Matthew, about Eddie Nketiah, because I do feel like I'm struggling to understand how other Arsenal fans view him. So I want to look at it from a Chelsea perspective. So you have Nicholas Jackson, young striker, just signed him, so you have a kind of leeway with him. I look at Nketiah, and every time I see him play, there's something extra he's adding to his game. Now, I don't think he's fully there yet. I think he's still learning a lot of stuff, but we know he can score goals in the penalty box. He's a tap-in merchant. That's fine. We haven't seen the power shooting yet. That needs to come. We know his movement's good because he gets those chances. Now, his shot choice selection seems to be a bit on the fritz from this past game, but, like, why do you think it is fans have a hard time seeing where he could get to based on the things he's doing so far this season?
I think we talked about this last time, where it's like his diversity, the goals he scores, tap-ins, headers, long ranges, charges against the defence. It's just, how old is he now?
22, 23?
He's 22, he's 23. He's young. He's young, and, he's been for someone who's been on the scene for quite a while. When he first broke out on the scene, I think towards the end of, say, Wenger, or I want to say, what's his name?
Wenger gave him his debut.
Wenger gave him his debut, and after that it was...
he's 24, actually.
He's 24. He's still young. He's not old, but it's I hate saying the word potential, because he's been in the Premier League long enough to know what's going on, and after last year he definitely knows what's going on. But the thing is that him doing all these things, all this trying, all these learning, all these what he's trying will run out eventually when you've got a Premier League title that you want to go for. Let's say you're towards the end of the season. Let's say we're talking right now in April, right? And he's on 10 goals when damn well he could easily be on 20. If he's still working on this and that and this and that, it's not good enough if you're fighting for a Premier League title. Let's say you are where you were last year, where you were only points behind and a game better off than them, but still within catchable distance. No, that's bad enough. It's going to get worse this year, because now you're in tougher competitions in the Champions League. You're going to probably potentially want to do something in the cup runs. If Jesus is injured and he gets injured, then what happens there is time will run out on him on just being the potential again, the potential guy all over again. Oh, he's got potential. Oh, he's doing this. We've seen it so many times with strikers where young guys that have all the potential in the world, they're the next this, they're the next that, they're going to take the place of whoever, and it never comes. They might get a little bit of success somewhere, but it's never the success that they can get, or dare I say deserve to get. Someone who works as hard as they do, because he clearly does work hard. He's improved year on, from the game against the Bridge when Tuchel's last one, from that game on here on, he has improved. But he can't keep saying and improving. I don't think it's going to be a case come April, depending on where you are in the league or in other cups and stuff like that. You know, the goals aren't necessarily going to come from everywhere all the time. That's what did you so good. You had goals coming from literally everywhere else. But in a game like the Palace one on Monday, you know, how better would it have been if you took them to the sword, you put 4 past them in the first half and set that statement off, not just to the team, but to the rest of the league. And like, you know, Tony's out, Jesus ain't, you know, he's still coming back from Ving, Kane's gone. You know, if you're not talking about Haaland, you're talking about me. I'm going to be the guy that's going to be putting the league on blast. I'm going to be challenging. I'm going to be pushing people. I'm going to be pushing someone like Rashford. I think there's no reason why he can't push for someone like push to pass Rashford's kind of like in what he brings to the game for Manchester United. He could push. I honestly think, and we hold Rashford in very high regard. I think Eddie Nketiah is more than capable of getting to that kind of level. I really do. But
that's a high bar, you know.
But he can do it. That's the thing, he can. But he's got, like you said, that you've got to start seeing something. You know, it's all well doing it now, but come March, April, and May time, it's too late. Potentially, the season could already be done. You know, you're not going to catch the freak, but you know, can run your own kind of thing. Can maybe catch someone else. I mean, going after someone like Rashford is not a diss in any way, shape, or form. You know, we hold him in very high regard. You know, why can't he do that?
I'm not saying it's this. I'm just saying it's a very high bar. I rate Rashford as one of the, you know, up there with some of the best players in our league. I think on his day, I think he's in the conversation.
Look, if you want the league getting so, you know, a few goals here or there gets you the league last year. That's all I'm saying.
True.
It's a few goals, and I think because did he start more than Jesus last year?
He played a chunk of games in Jesus' absence.
That's what I'm saying.
We need
like,
to calculate the time.
No, if Jesus saying, you know, Jesus is older, he's all more injury prone. If he's not going to be part of the plan, Eddie Nketiah can.
Well, I think for Arsenal, either way, this is the last season for both of them. Like, if they both don't hit the numbers that we're expecting, I think the big striker upgrade will come next summer.
Yeah.
I just think where we're at in our project, I think this is the last piece of the puzzle. It's centre forward.
And if you look at January, you know, we mentioned before how someone like Ivan Toney could potentially come in. That's competition. So that's like Tony could be part of the picture. Who's going to take up that second spot? Is it going to be you, Gabby, or is it going to be you, Eddie? Which one's it going to be? 10 plus, pushing to 15 goals is what Eddie should be getting.
League goals. Yeah.
10 to 15, not can, but should.
I like that.
So, yeah.
I like that. I guess for you, Stephen, obviously on this Nketiah debate, I've been quite fascinated with Rashford's development as a player. I think we as Arsenal, we definitely helped propel him into starlight with his brace against us on one of his early Premier League games. As you do, Arsenal giving players careers. Wayne Rooney, same. Although Rooney was a phenom, but you know what I mean. Like we did kind of help push him to superstardom. But I guess for you, when you look at a player like Nketiah and you think about, like for Man United, because you know, striking wise, you guys also have a gaping hole there in that you don't really have a recognised number 9. I know you have a player that wears number 9, but no one rates him on this podcast. So like,
thanks for that.
But like, yeah,
me too.
Like, what do you think in terms of Nketiah, like especially throughout this season? What do you think's missing from his game that he has to add to prevent him being the next young English striker getting sold off from Arsenal?
He needs to score goals. He needs to score goals. I mean, a striker has to do their job. Same like a goalkeeper. He has to make his saves and don't concede. The defender, same thing with them. But with Nketiah, he has to score goals. Those chances that he gets, he can't miss. Arsenal now, you know, as much as it annoys me to say this, they got a really good chance again this season. As much as it, you know, annoys me because Arsenal fans, they talk the most. But listen, serious, like he just needs to score goals. He's got really good players around him. I'm not going to say world class, but they've got really good players around him. They will create the chances, 100%. Saka, Odegaard, they got quality players. So he just needs to score goals to be that number 1. Plus, he's got the iconic number 14 shirt. He can't let that shirt down. He can't.
Yeah.
He can't.
I think that's a big thing for me is like the fact that he asked for the shirt. what I like about, and even like in the build up to the game against the first game of the season, actually, because he didn't start in the Community Shield. He was very upset about that. But the way he trained was very much like he said to Arteta, and Arteta said himself, like he showed us in training that you have to pick me, like you can't not pick me. So with Nketiah, I like the fight he has. I like the fact that mentally he wants to be at this level. He wants to show that he's capable. And he did a podcast, I think last year, talking about, or the year before, like, I don't get starts. If I play more games, I'll show you what I can do. And actually in that run of games when he did start for us, he started scoring goals. So I was quite happy for him. And I'm hoping, because I watch him quite closely, and every match I'm seeing something new, and I'm just like, I didn't know you could do, like the turn he did against Anderson is similar to the spin he did last season against West Ham again, against Tilo Kehrer, where he spun him and then got the goal. This time he didn't quite get the goal. There was a dribble he did as well in the first game of the season out from the left wing. He kind of cut some people, and I was like, Nketiah, you're adding little things that I think with how Arsenal play now with our number 9, it's essential. But like you said, Stephen, like you said, Matthew, like it's the goals that's going to matter most. But I want to switch over to another player who is a bit very much like Marmite in the Arsenal fan. We picked him up from Chelsea, and a lot of fans don't know why, and that's Kai Havertz. What's your perception, Stephen, on Kai Havertz's start at Arsenal?
I don't even know his position. I mean, coming from Chelsea, this is what I'm talking about. Coming from Chelsea, where they were just confused, playing him as a number 9. He's not a striker. I think now they're trying to put him in midfield. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. So positionally with Kai Havertz, he kind of plays 3 roles at once for Arsenal. So he plays as a false 9. He plays as a number 8 and a number, like a box to box player, because he does a lot of work off the ball. The issue with him right now is that on the ball is a bit lacking, but off the ball, like his numbers last few games, he covered the most distance of any Arsenal player, had the most recovery of any Arsenal player. So it's like the defensive half of the role, he's doing really well. And even late in the game, people were saying he should come off the pitch. Why is he still on, bring on Trossard? But yet he went up front through the middle, and he was the outlet, for long balls out from the back. So he's doing a lot of stuff defensively. Offensively, he is absolutely stinking out the joint, and that's the problem. Like, he's not doing what we want for them, like for that role. Like, Xhaka had his limitations, but the guy was letting off shots. I've not seen Havertz let off a shot. The two missed kicks in the Community Shield is it. That's all we've got so far. There's not been any. The shooting boots haven't arrived yet. So
why did they buy him then? It was panic buy.
I don't think it was a panic buy. The thing that I was quite intrigued by against Crystal Palace is when Zinchenko came on the pitch, Havertz looked a lot better. And I think that the reason why Havertz has been starting all these games as opposed to like Trossard, who's been in much better form in pre-season, or Smith Rowe had a great under-21s championship, is I think they want to get him to get used to what we want him to do positionally. And it reminds me a lot of when Olivier Giroud first joined Arsenal, in that many fans don't realise this. Giroud made a lot of runs in behind in his first 10 games at Arsenal. The issue, no one passed him the ball. So he stopped. And then when he did stop, the balls started coming, but he was not getting on the end of them. So there was so my thing with Havertz is I hope he keeps making the runs that he's been making so far. But I think when Jesus is back in the starting 11 and when Zinchenko's back in, I think then people will start to see more of what Havertz is doing for us. So for me right now, he is doing a good job defensively, but that's not necessarily what he's been bought for. It's the offensive side is not there yet. But defensively, I think for team shape and cohesion, he's doing a good job. But we need more firepower, because I see him. I think there's 15 goals in the league there on the table for him if he wants them.
Agreed.
When I look at what Xhaka did last year, those goals are there for him. The same way for Nketiah, there's 10 to 15 that's there for him. For Saka and Martinelli, there's 20 goals apiece there for them if they want it. For Jesus, there's 22 goals in the league there for you if you want it. Odegaard, there's 18 league goals there for you if you want it. Declan Rice, you can have 5. Saliba, you can have another 4. Partey, you can take 1. Like, there's goals on the table for these guys.
That's around 100 goals already.
Because of how we're playing, there's goals on the table. But it's just, do these guys want them? And for Havertz, like, I'm giving him till 10. I'm giving him 10 games. And then I'm going to have my assessment. Because I'm watching what he's doing and I'm seeing a lot of good stuff. But he's not a highlight ready player. Like, there's nothing exceptional in what he's doing, but the things he is doing is helping the team. But we need more. And that's the simple bit for it. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's talk about Manchester United. I did say we were going to go there. I have to admit, I'm a bit perplexed as to what's going on at Old Trafford. I guess for you, are you a bit concerned with the start to the season so far, Stephen?
Very, very concerned. I mean, our performance against Wolves was shocking. The way we played, we got played at Old Trafford. It's a continuous thing. Teams coming to us. We got played. And then our last game against Tottenham, to be honest, I think that first half, we played okay. We had a really, really good chances. Like Bruno could have scored. He missed the sitter. Then I think from the second half, I think Tottenham just wanted it more. They just wanted it more, and that just showed throughout the second half. But yeah, I am very, very concerned about Man United this season, as I was last season, to be honest with you. So yeah, nothing's changed there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. I mean, like losing to Tottenham for any team is just embarrassing. Just don't rate them. But I guess the bigger picture is obviously, and people always talk about Arteta's spend and money spent and Chelsea spent, but you guys have spent a lot of money on players that you would have hoped would have elevated what your team's doing. And obviously with Casemiro in the middle, you've brought in Mason Mount. We have the Brazilian Beyblade in Anthony, and of course we've got Kennington where it started, aka Jadon Sancho. Like, that's 4 players there that you would look at and think, okay, they can elevate us. I think Anthony is a bad signing. He is not a Manchester United player. I don't know why you bought him, because every time I watch this guy play, I just don't see a Man United player at all. He's not your traditional wingers like Giggs and Beckham. He doesn't even have great delivery, because Beckham wasn't the quickest, but he was fitness merchant, and his set piece delivery and deliveries in the box was exceptional. So you had that. Giggs was speed and quality. Then you went to the Ronaldo Nani evolution, and then you've built it from there. And then you look at, even when you had Ashley Young, Dan James, who wasn't the best player, let's be honest, but at least that you could see elements of a Man United player in there. Same with Elanga, not the best player, but he had that Man United DNA. If you talk about what's a Man United winger, quick, direct, able to beat his man, can be deadly and dangerous in situations. And with Anthony, all I see is a guy that doesn't realise that this league, you're not going to get 25 seconds to do the same dead trick. I'm sorry. You need to speed up.
No,
but
it's the truth. I agree.
But do you look at it now and think, first and foremost, like, do you think Ten Hag needs to find his true starting 11 now and kind of settle on a system that works best for your players?
Definitely with the starting 11, because I think he's playing the wrong players, 100%. And then just getting back off what you said with like people like Anthony, Jadon Sancho, I think our transfer strategy for the past 3 years has been shocking. The players we've brought have made no improvement to the team. I mean, for example, yes, it wasn't recently, but for example, like we bought Fred for 52 million. I know that's some way ago, but that's the transfer strategy I'm talking about. We're buying players for millions of pounds, and they are absolutely useless, not doing enough for us. In terms of Ten Hag, obviously he's gone back to buy his goalkeeper that he had in Ajax. He looks okay. I'm very pleased about him. But yeah, if he can get obviously our new striker starting, putting Rashford on the left, we're gonna have to just bear with Anthony this season, to be honest, on the right, and then just see what happens from there. But like listen, it's only 2 games in, but I am very, very concerned.
I think that's the good news, that it's early in the season. Like, there's still plenty of time to fix things. The window's still open, so you could also try and pick up that wide right player. It's a shame that you guys didn't go in for Chukwueze, who's gone across to AC Milan. Like, that would have been a really good, smart signing. I think Samuel Chukwueze at Man United, I would be worried. Even Moussa Diaby as well, who Villa picked up. Again, another signing that I think you guys should have been all over.
And Doku's just gone to Man City. He's a good player as well.
He's another one.
Madison. James Maddison.
Well, the thing with Maddison is it wouldn't work because of Bruno.
Number 10, isn't it?
I mean, when I look at Man United now, I think Sancho should be playing off the striker in the hole in the middle. And if you were to pick a formation, I think if you played with 2 and 8, so like Bruno one side, Sancho the other side, and then like say Casemiro sits deep, I think that would give you a structure to build on, because Sancho can't play wide for Man United. It's not because he's not quick enough. He needs players close to him. He's a combination player. And Rashford, you can't play through the middle right now because he's not developed as a striker, because he's missed 2 seasons of proper development. The minute Louis van Gaal left Manchester United, Rashford's development stalled as a player. Still effective, still a good goal scorer, but as a striker, he's 2 seasons short of striking training. Oli helped get the kind of freedom and happiness back into his game. Ranić ruined him coaching-wise. So he lost 2 years of development. So he's behind where he needs to be. Anyway, so he's lost out on development. So with Ten Hag now, he's got a coach again that can kind of help him work on the fundamentals. So for me, Rashford will be a number 9 through the middle of Man United eventually. But right now, he needs to work in the wide areas. It's the same thing with Wenger would do with our players like Bentner, like of Walcott, we tried and failed. But you know what I mean? He would play, or Van Persie, you'd play the strikers wider, because you need to understand how to deal with space. And on the wing, you have more time on the ball, but you have to also make space, beat your man. And if you take that and apply that through the middle, you can create chances out of nothing. Van Persie's famous goal at the Emirates when he took it on the right and they did the little Cruyff drag, nutmeg the defender and smashed it. And I think it's against Sunderland or Derby. But it's a very famous goal he did. And obviously for Man United, he did many great things for you guys. But there's a way you need to build up strikers and give them that kind of development plan. And I think with Rashford now, this season, I want him to be the 3rd or 2nd top goal scorer in the league. Now that Kane's gone, Haaland will be number 1. Rashford should look at it and be like, okay, I'm going to be number 2 or 3. Obviously, Tony, when he comes back in January, and he gave an amazing podcast recently on Diary of a CEO, he's going to be gunning for the number 3 spot. He's going to get a lot of goals when he comes back. So there's a spot there for Rashford. But I guess for you, Matthew, when you look at Man United and what they've done in the window so far, obviously Rasmus Højlund is injured, baby Haaland as they refer to him. He's a really talented player. Man United fan for a number of years, so that's good. You've got a player that cares about the club coming in. Obviously Mason Mount, it's not quite worked out so far. Do you think Man United fans should be concerned, or do you think it's just really early, he needs to figure out his fit?
Well, I'll be concerned because this is a continuing problem from like last year, from when they first signed someone like Sancho. They thought they would kick on, and the same thing I say about Mount, say something about Sancho is you can sell a lot of shirts. Mount will sell a lot of shirts because number 7. Sancho, no offense, Stephen, no offense, but you got a whole bunch of shirt sellers, but not a lot of ideas, and it's like they're all very like I just don't know what it is when they come to Man United. It's like, I don't know, they try and live on easy. It happened with Maguire. It probably will happen with Mount. It's happening with Sancho. I just don't know what you bought. I can't speak for Sancho, but I can speak for Mount. I don't know what you bought someone like him for. Like, I just don't know. See, I just don't know why. I know why he left us. I know why. That's fine. But look, all I'm saying, I'm warning you is that it will happen to you, and you know what it is. It will happen to you, and he's got that 7 shirt on his back, worn by the great CR7. Like, he's put himself on the right old pedestal, and that's kind of where my worry is at the moment. It's like I got worries about my club. My own is playing Football Manager at the moment, and your lot are playing buy who sells shirts. We'll just buy who sells shirts, which is a bit of a kick in the teeth, because you question how much Ten Hag has that kind of thing about it. Ten Hag is a coach. For starters, he don't care about no glitz. He's form over function, and it's just like, it's a puzzling. You had the one positive last year, which was the Carabao Cup. That was your one positive. But where do you go from there? Like you said earlier, you're miles behind City, you're miles behind Arsenal, and now. So they took 2, they're gone. Now around us, because we could be part of that conversation as well. You've got Brighton, you got Newcastle, you got Villa, you got Brighton, and I'm putting West Ham in that. I'm putting West Ham in there as well, because why not? Liverpool. And Liverpool, we can't forget about Liverpool. That top thing, that top half of the table has never been more enticing.
You can't put Chelsea.
And I won't be there. We'll be there. It's like you said, it's only been 2 games. It's only been 2 games. I'm standing by that. We're moving on from that game.
Season.
Believe me. We've both had a weekend to forget. What can I say? But yeah, and the funny thing is, Newcastle have only lost 1 game, but they've won already. You've already won on game.
2.
They haven't won. No, they beat Wolves and lost to top.
Arsenal.
Brighton have won both their games. They've stormed both their games. Villa won out. They put the sword to Everton. That's anyone could really. And West Ham have won 1 and drawn 1. And, we got teams, other teams behind. We could possibly put Spurs in there. I don't know, but that top 10 is looking way more difficult. And you need to. I'm saying for both clubs. And our worry is for Man United is that they need to figure out what their best players are and what they want from these players and what does Ten Hag want, to kind of appease the fans to go ahead and get that, because it's not going to be a case of the top 4 running away. Oh no, it's going to be the top from 2nd down to 8. That's going to be that gap right there. That's the midfield, upper midfield is never going to be more enticing. So both of us, for our sakes, you need to watch your back. You need to figure out what it is, what you want and what your players to do and all that kind of stuff before you get caught short, and you never know if someone like a Newcastle or West Ham or Villa be like, thank you very much.
I guess for you, my question for you, Stephen, on that, a bit on that note, but not really. What's your sort of expectations now for Man United this season, and who would you pick as your starting 11 going forward, like your strongest, best 11?
If my prediction for this season and where I would hope, if we can get top 4, I'll be happy. Top 4, because I have to be realistic. As I said, I'm very concerned about my team right now. If we can get top 4 Champions League ahead of Chelsea, because Chelsea seem to be piping up a bit. Definitely top 4. In terms of the first team, everyone who started the game against Tottenham, obviously if you're moving Rashford to the left and then bringing in our new striker to play up front, that would be our best 11, 100%, without a doubt.
And how much do you rate the signing of Mount? Obviously, Matthew seems quite confused why you signed him. Like, how do you think Man United will use him going forward and what he will add to your team?
Well, I've just read today that he's going to be injured for I think 6 weeks or something like that. It's typical. But no, listen, I think for Chelsea, he has been a very good player. I think with last season, obviously, like I said, Chelsea was very, very confused about their number 11. Hence why, obviously, he's come to us to get first team. It's a bigger club, bigger history, bigger manager, bigger stadium, bigger fan base. Obviously, he's come to the right club. No, honestly.
It's facts.
We just need to, obviously, number one, he needs to gel with our players, understand how we play. Because, with Erik, he wants that fast tempo. He wants the Pep style. Everybody's craving for this Pep style. Even Arteta, for example, now, I know I'm moving off topic, but, he's playing partly in right back, trying to bring him to the midfield. Pep started this. Liverpool are trying to copy them. Arsenal now this season. So I think, everyone's trying to copy this Pep style. But moving on to Mount, he just needs to play his game because he is a quality player. He can easily get 15 goals. Premier League alone. Obviously Champions League, because we're in the Champions League this season. Chelsea aren't. So obviously he wants to be in Champions League as well.
It's true. It's just facts. They are in Champions League and you're not. But
means nothing.
You kick us off. You kick us off, Matthew, at Luton. Well, at home against Luton on Friday. So this will be the day of recording of release. You'll be hearing this today. So they're playing tonight against Luton. What are your expectations? Home game at the Bridge.
I'm expecting nothing less than I want above 3 goals.
So to Luton, so 0-3.
0-3 is a minimum. That's the minimum. On goals, mate. We got goals. Let's stop this potential talk from Liverpool, West Ham. Let's stop this potential. Let's score some goals. Let's prove to this league we mean business.
If Luton beat you at home, do you think Poch makes it to game 10?
If we lose Luton, but we win the next game after that, let's say the Sharks are swimming a little bit closer.
Okay. Greg, what's your prediction for that game?
Chelsea will win, or they have to win. If they don't win, then
full circle.
And then Stephen, what do you think? Chelsea Luton, Chelsea at the Bridge.
Going to be a draw, 2-2.
2-2 draw. And then straight back to you again. Saturday kicks off with Bournemouth against Spurs at Vitality Stadium.
2-0 Spurs.
2-0 Spurs. Matthew?
2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Craig?
2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs. Bournemouth 3-0. Arsenal Fulham at home.
1.
3-1 to Arsenal. Matthew?
2-0 Arsenal.
2-0 Arsenal. Stephen? Arsenal Fulham at home.
4-1 Arsenal.
4-1 Arsenal. And then we go to the first tricky game of the weekend, which is Brentford against Crystal Palace. I'll start with you again, Stephen, at Brentford Stadium.
3-1 Brentford.
2-1 Brentford. Matthew?
2-1 Brentford.
Craig?
Brentford, Crystal Palace. 3-2.
To
Brentford.
3-2 Brentford. Yeah, I think Brentford will get the win. But I don't know what Palace are a crazy team, so you never know. And then the game that I'm going to literally call the relegation 6-pointer already after 3 games in, Everton versus Wolves. Matthew, what are you expecting there? Everton are at home.
Doesn't mean anything.
It means everything to them, Matthew.
It will mean everything to them, but doesn't prove it. Doesn't. I can see a ball draw 0-0.
Craig?
2-2. Desmond.
Everton v Wolves. What's your prediction?
1-1.
1-1. I think Wolves are going to beat them, and I think this is going to be the beginning of the end. 3-0 Wolves. Man United versus Nottingham Forest. I'm going to say you guys are going to win at home. Nice, comfortable 3-0 win. What's your prediction, Stephen?
3-2 United.
3-2. Matthew?
3-1.
3-1.
3-1.
Which team?
Man United.
3-1 Man United.
Just want to clarify because you never know these days. And then Brighton, West Ham, our last game on Saturday. Brighton are at home. West Ham, both teams flying high. Craig?
That's a hard one, I think Brighton might do them, because Brighton's got a good team. I think it's gonna be a close one. So I think 2-1 Brighton.
Brighton are at home?
Yeah.
I'll go 2-1 as well.
2-1 Brighton. Stephen?
2-0 Brighton.
2-0 Brighton. I'm going to go for a draw. I think West Ham got something this season. And then Sunday starts off Burnley against Aston Villa. Matthew?
I reckon that could be a draw. I could see a 2-2 draw.
I think Villa will win 2-1. Diaby will score.
Stephen?
3-1 to Burnley.
Yeah, same. Season 2, Unai is in full effect. They are going to struggle this year. Sheffield United versus Man City. Is anyone expecting Sheffield United to get anything out of that game?
Not even at Bramall Lane. Nah, sorry.
I think City's cruises this. If City lose or draw that game, I'm very surprised. But I think City's got that win in the bag.
Yeah, like if I'm Sheffield, I'm parking 15 men behind the box, behind the bus. I don't care. That no shots, nothing. They can have 99% possession. They just won't score.
True.
That's what I'd do. And then lastly, last game for the weekend, Newcastle versus Liverpool at St. James's Park. Massive game.
Ooh.
It's going to be tough.
It's tough.
Over the years, I'd always back Liverpool against Newcastle, but now it's kind of swung. My mindset's kind of swung towards Newcastle winning that game. So I think Newcastle will win.
Wow.
I think Newcastle very slim, 1-0 or 2-1.
Wow. Stephen?
Newcastle 3-1.
It's gonna be a tough one. I'm backing Liverpool, but the way their midfield played against Chelsea, I was shocked, and I don't know if they've solved that with their new signing. So I think Newcastle might actually have something for them, and that might actually be a concern for the rest of us. But yeah, this has been a fun podcast. I just want to end with one final note. Matthew, what is your hot take of the week?
Hot take of the week. Ready?
Go for it.
Spurs won a trophy this season.
How?
You said hot take.
As in they're going to, or they have one?
They're going to.
Oh, I thought you said they had one.
No.
I was like, I mean, participation trophies don't count.
Yeah. But I actually know what my take is that they're going to have one of their best seasons they had for a very long time. I think losing Kane has opened them up very much. So I think they actually did pretty well against Brentford, and they definitely did well against Man United. They look very, very comfortable. A lot of players now come out the parapet. Them signing Maddison. The comparison between Maddison and Mason Mount in that game was massive. And I think, in some ways, footballer-wise, you could argue that Maddison is a better better player in some ways. I don't know, but he suits Tottenham very, very well. Obviously, the goals will dry up for them, but I do think that their diversity in play is going to improve. Look, the Champions League final, and I've stood by this, he doesn't start, Spurs win. If he didn't start, because up to the point he was injured going up into the semi-finals. I don't think he played the semi-final against Ajax. They won. I think they won over both legs. You know, they still had players like Mora there. They still had players like, you know, all around. Solomon was doing his thing. Ali wasn't there at the time, was he? No. My point is, I think them losing someone like Kane, which took up so much of their time, it felt like it was very much his team. But now the fact that they haven't panicked since they lose him, they haven't lost yet, but not in Europe, was going to give them a little bit more focus in their team lineup. And maybe, just maybe, I don't think they're going to be the laughing stock of the season this year. I don't know who will be. I just don't think it's going to be them.
Well, it's going to be Everton. I'll say that for free. But yeah, thanks everyone for listening to this episode of One Kick from Glory. I will call it up there. Thank you, Stephen, for joining us.
Yes.
And the guys, as usual. Obviously, at Man United, there's only one more Mason in town. We're not going to talk about Greenhead anymore because I feel like that whole saga was just disgraceful. And I think as a club, Man United need to do better. I'm glad that they've not reintegrated him, but I think as a club that this situation should be a learning curve for them, that there needs to be a line in football. Like, irrespective of how good players are, you have to draw a line somewhere, and the excuses used or the reasons used was just pathetic. But we'll leave it there for now. We'll cover that more in another time when he gets a new club, because he's still technically employed by them. And that's us signing out for this week.
Peace.
Peace.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you.